Question 2 is an analysis type question. Let's have a look at how it's worded because that's really important. Now again, make sure you look at the right lines, and this one asks you to look at lines 4 to 8. By referring to at least 2 examples, analyse how the writer uses language to convey her concerns about the impact of the internet. Now here, the key words you're looking at here are referring to at least 2 examples. That means you need to quote and analyse how the writer uses language. That word language is a clue that this is an analysis question, so we're dealing with techniques. You're not just explaining what the words mean, but you're actually going to be analysing the effect of those words in the passage. Now we've looked at that, we can look at lines 4 to 8. It doesn't look like there's a lot of words there, but have a look down here at all of these answers here. I'm trying to use my laser pointer. So there's actually loads and loads. Now, first of all, this bit here is that guidance for markers that we looked at in the last one. And it says here for full marks, there should be a comment on at least 2 examples. Now, it says 2 examples, but realistically, you should be getting in the habit of giving 4 answers for these marks because it's 4 marks. There's a lot of debate in English teacher circles. We used to always, years and years ago, teach pupils how to do a kind of an in-depth analysis that would get 2 marks. And I don't know, you could argue that that was actually promoting the analysis of the English language to pupils and making those demands that they should be able to learn how to really critically analyse this. But on the other hand, from a lot of pupils, you just need to get those marks in that exam, and that's totally understandable as well. And so I think, why would you bother about this 2 marks for detailed, insightful comment when you can actually just get 1 mark for a more basic comment? And if we look at the SQA marking down here, you can see that that's how they give their answers on the marking scheme. These are all basic comments. There's a couple of them. Now this one here, down here, the polarising emotive language used to characterise the contrasts, truth and falsehood, connected, alienated, informed, public, suggests deterioration in society. So here we've got this idea of it being polarising and emotive. It's highlighted that it's a contrast and it suggests. So that one's really getting close to a detailed, insightful. I'm not even sure that that would get 2 marks. I think you would need to add in something a little bit more and maybe talk about not just the polarising nature of that contrast, but the fact that they're all opposites. That would definitely get you the 2 marks. However, what I'm focused on in this video is just to show you how to get those basic marks. Now, the thing is, whenever I show pupils these answer schemes and I say, look at all of these answers that you can give, sometimes pupils that are sat in front of me go, oh, I didn't see all of that. But it's amazing how just in this little tiny paragraph they can come up with all of these answers. And so here we've got one of the most obvious ones. Dizzying suggests disorientating and confusing. It shows that the changes are happening so fast that people are getting confused by it. Caught suggests that you're being trapped in something that you can't get out of. Confusing, and again here, if you gave dizzying, you can say it's confusing. If you give the answer confusing, you can then say it's bewildering, or it puzzles people, or it just makes people not know what to think. It's actually okay to word these things in a way that kind of explains it in a bit more of a basic way. You can still pick up marks for that. Now here we're getting into some really good imagery down here. Battles suggest aggressive, dangerous conflict. Some people say battles make you think of war. Falsehood suggests here it's got the potential for duplicity. There's not many pupils at school that would say that. They'd probably say falsehood means that potentially a lot of the information might just not be true. Cruelty suggests that people are actually doing this on purpose, to be horrible to people. That's the connotation. Now again, if we think about this idea of connotation versus denotation, the denotation is the dictionary definition, and cruelty would be being horrible to somebody, torturing somebody, doing something that's really, really nasty. But in the context of this passage, it's saying that cruelty suggests people in here potentially malign use. So that's saying the connotation is that the writer is concerned that people are actually using false news and fake news to actually trick people in a way that's really malign, means evil. Like they're really trying to be evil on purpose here. So I think that the connotation listed in the marking scheme goes a little bit further, and you've really got to try and get that strength of emotion. If you're showing the connotation, you need to say that it's really about somebody being evil. You can't just say something like it's somebody being not nice, because that just doesn't go far enough. So really it's about being very specific with the language you give in these answers. So here I've got just some further advice about that detailed, insightful comment. When you look at the answer scheme though, all of the suggested answers are basic. And this is the most important thing. That quote, comment, format here is what I really want you to take on board. You don't need to waste time rewriting the question. You don't need to waste any time introducing your answer. What we want is a really good bang with the quote and bang with the comment. Now, there's one more thing here that I'm going to show you and bring to your attention, and it's to do with an answer on structure. This list, we've got two things here. We've got the repetition or the rhythm of between and we've got the list. Although they have sort of quoted a little bit, and it's a good idea to do that just so the marker knows exactly which bit you're talking about, it's actually, instead of a direct reference, identifying the technique here is really important for structure. Less so for the other ones, but we'll get into that with later answers. So the roundup for this question, the takeaway is that make sure you give a quote, comment, answer. Make sure that you're giving 4 answers, and make sure you kind of know what technique you're analysing, because even though you don't need to say the word choice of or the image is, it's a good idea to make sure that you're making it absolutely obvious. The marking scheme in these words does not quote a whole line. They do not put in a full sentence, they just put in the word that they're talking about. What I think is sometimes pupils think they're not quite sure what word to use, and so they just bung in as many words as they can, and actually it's a habit that works against you, because you're not going to get any marks, because the marker has no idea what it is you're analysing.